Raider Nation, buckle up, because we need to talk. There's a storm brewing in Las Vegas, and it's not just about the blazing heat. It's the pressure cooker that's building inside the Raiders coaching staff, specifically between the key names, Patrick Graham and Chip Kelly. And I'm going to be real with you, this is a make or break year, especially for one of them. But before I dive into who's really feeling the heat, I want you to think about this for a second. Which side of the ball has more expectations? Which unit has more weapons? And which coach has more to prove? I've got my take, but I want yours to dot now. Here's the thing. Chip Kelly might be stepping into his first year with the Raiders, but that man's walking into a lion's den. Patrick Graham, sure, he's under pressure he just got a raise this offseason, and he's leading a defense that's expected to keep climbing. But Chip Kelly, he's walking in with the keys to the offense. A fan base starved for production, and a franchise that might just be grooming him for something even bigger. Let's break it down. When you look at the offense this season, it's Chip's show. This isn't a collaborative deal where he shares duties with Pete Carroll. No, this is the Chip Kelly offense. If it sinks or swims, it's on him. And sure, Pete Carroll is still the guy in charge overall, but we know his bread and butter is the defense. That means all eyes are going to be on what Chip does with the playbook, how he manages the huddle, and whether he can finally fix what's been broken on the offensive side for way too long. Now I know some of you might be thinking, well, Patrick Graham has more tenure. He's been here. He should be under more pressure. But here's what you gotta understand. Patrick Graham might be on the hot seat, but the expectation for him is to maintain, maybe make a leap. Chip Kelly, he's being asked to completely transform, and not just tweak things here and there. I'm talking overhaul the system, install a new culture, and take this Raiders offense from bottom feeder to top tier, all in one off-season. Think about the history. The Raiders haven't exactly been thriving on offense the last decade. Aside from a couple of outlier seasons, they've struggled mightily. Remember the revolving door at offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, Mick Lombardi. And yeah, we gotta include Josh McDaniels too. Even though he was technically the head coach, he was still calling the plays. And what happened? Getsy didn't even make it through the season. McDaniels imploded, and the offense just looked completely lost. The team has only cracked the top 10 in scoring twice in the last 10 years. That's not just disappointing. That's straight up unacceptable, and that's where Chip Kelly comes in. The front office didn't just throw him a bone. They handed him a $6 million contract, double what he was making at Ohio State. That's not just a salary, that's a statement. That's saying, we're trusting you with this side of the ball, and if it doesn't work out, guess who takes the blame? Let's be real, the Raiders haven't had a legit, consistent threat at quarterback since Derek Carr, and even then, that relationship ended with a lot of frustration. Since Carr, it's been a parade of mediocrity. Gardner Minshew, Aidan O'Connell, Desmond Ridder, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer. None of these guys inspired confidence. The fan base has been patient, but that patience is wearing thin. And now that they've traded for Geno Smith and handed him an extension, the spotlight just got a whole lot brighter. Why? Because if Geno fails, it's not going to be on Pete Carroll. Everyone knows Geno was Pete's guy in Seattle, and he made it work with multiple offensive coordinators. So if he comes to Vegas and suddenly struggles, people are going to point fingers. They'll say, what's changed? And the answer's simple: Chip Kelly. That's why the pressure is so immense. Chip has to make Geno work. He's got to elevate the offense and prove that his system can still succeed at the NFL level. Look, I'm not saying the man can't coach. We all know Chip Kelly is a wizard when it comes to X's and O's, but that's never been the issue. The real question is, can he connect with players? Can he build a locker room that buys in? That's the unknown, and that's where this season becomes so critical. If the players believe in him, if Geno thrives, and if those young offensive weapons start popping off, then yeah, this thing could take off. But if they don't, then it's going to be a short, ugly ride. And speaking of those weapons, this offense is loaded with young talent. Brock Bowers, JPJ, Ashton Jenney, these aren't just nice pieces, they're foundational. These are the players the front office is building around. And that tells you everything you need to know about where the future of this franchise lies. It's not just about the defense anymore. Yes, Max Crosby is still a monster, and yes, they're hoping guys like Christian Wilkins and Malcolm Kuntz step up. But the offensive side of the ball is where the real investment is happening. Just look at the draft. 5 of the first 6 picks were offensive players. That's not a coincidence. That's a plan. And who's in charge of making it all come together? Chip Kelly. He's been handed the pieces. He's been given the authority, and now he's got to deliver. That's why the pressure is on him more than anyone else. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Chip Kelly might be auditioning for the head coaching job. Pete Carroll is 73 years old. He's not going to be on the sidelines forever. And the way this is setting up, if Chip can prove he can run the offense, develop talent, and manage the locker room, the transition could be seamless. Mark Davis has had his eye on Chip for a while now. There were whispers months ago that the Raiders had already considered him for the head job in the past. So this isn't just about being a coordinator. This could be a trial run for something much bigger. That adds another layer of pressure, because if this offense underperforms, not only does Chip lose credibility as a play caller, but that potential future as head coach goes up in smoke. And believe me, that opportunity is real. The organization has already shown they're willing to invest in him. But it's a results-driven business, and right now, the expectation is simple: win. Score points, develop stars, get the most out of Geno. If Chip does that, the sky's the limit. If not, well, we've seen how quickly things fall apart in Vegas. And I get it, Patrick Graham's not exactly sitting pretty either. The defense is expected to hold strong, especially with the pieces they've got, but Patrick's been here. He's got continuity. The defense has already started to build an identity. The offense, it's still looking for one. That's why Chip Kelly is walking into a pressure cooker, because it's not just about play calling. It's about proving he can do what nobody else has been able to do in a long time: turn the Raiders' offense into something respectable, something dangerous, something that strikes fear again. Now let's take it even further, because when we talk about pressure, we're also talking about expectations, and for Chip Kelly, those expectations are sky high, not just because of his past, but because of what this Raiders team is trying to become. We're not just talking about a team trying to make the playoffs. We're talking about a franchise that's desperately trying to reset its identity. They want to be known for offensive firepower, for being dangerous, for putting up points in bunches, and right now, Chip is the architect of that vision. He's the guy with the blueprint, and everyone's waiting to see if it actually works. Let's not forget how the NFL views Chip Kelly. There's still a bit of mystique around him. For all the ups and downs, for all the criticism, the league knows one thing: Chip can design an offense. He proved it in college. He showed flashes in Philadelphia, and even though things didn't end well in San Francisco, the reputation never fully died. That's why Ohio State brought him in. That's why the Raiders are now giving him another shot. But here's the catch: the NFL isn't college. You don't get 5 years to build a program. You don't get to out-scheme everybody just because you have a clever playbook. You have to adapt. You have to connect with grown men in that locker room. You have to manage personalities, not just routes and blocking schemes. And that's what makes this moment so pivotal. If Chip can bridge that gap, if he can blend his tactical brilliance with emotional intelligence, if he can get these guys to buy into what he's building, then this offense could explode. We're talking about a potential top 10 unit, a turnaround that could shock the league. But if he can't, if it becomes a repeat of what we saw in San Francisco, where things unraveled fast and players started tuning him out, then the Raiders are right back at square one. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing after former MVP quarterback Rich Gannon made unexpected and candid comments about the state of the Las Vegas Raiders. In an appearance on a national sports talk show earlier this week, Gannon, never one to hold back his thoughts, both criticized and praised the current direction of his former team, leaving fans and insiders wondering what might be brewing behind the scenes in Vegas. While Gannon didn't outright suggest any major shakeups, the tone of his remarks hinted at deeper tensions and possibly looming changes within the Raiders organization. There are some things I like about what they're doing, but other things that really concern me, he said, before calling out what he described as a lack of identity on both sides of the ball. You can't keep trying to build a culture when you don't even know what kind of team you want to be, Gannon added, a thinly veiled jab that many believe was aimed at head coach Antonio Pierce and the front office. Still, Gannon wasn't all criticism. He praised several young players on the roster, mentioning the development of the defense and the potential in the quarterback room. His words seemed carefully chosen, almost as if he was sending a message or even testing the waters for a larger role in the organization. Some around the league are already speculating whether Gannon, who has worked as a broadcaster and remains close to key figures in the league, could be angling for a return to the Raiders in some capacity. Could Gannon be eyeing a front office position, or even something more hands-on like a coaching role? Or was this simply the passionate outburst of a former player, frustrated by what he sees as missed opportunities by a team he still clearly cares deeply about? One thing's for sure, his comments have added a new layer of intrigue to the Raiders' off-season narrative. As training camp approaches, all eyes will be on Las Vegas, not just for what happens on the field, but for what might be happening behind closed doors. Gannon's comments might just be smoke or the first signs of fire. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.